I know you texted me a little bit, but what about the exercise, walk the mind?
Well, I mean, I messaged you the other day and you were giving me some feedback that will help. But I've been trying to like apply my old, the way I was taught to meditate, where you like
Mm,
bring your attention, and so I was kind of doing that a lot and trying not to let my mind wander, because that's usually what you do when you meditate, is you try to not let your mind wander.
yep.
Over the last couple of days, I had like kind of a situation that called my values into the forefront.
Yeah.
And so like there was a lot of introspection for that. And it was right during the DC event. So I mean, so there was a whole lot of like, why do I think this and why do I feel that? And what's the right thing to do here? And so I don't know, I kind of do that a lot. I think I just need to spend more time meditating and being in a still state
Yeah.
to do that, because I was I thought it would be easier for me, but it was actually, it's been more difficult than I anticipated. Like when I'm actually sitting down to do the exercise,
Yeah.
it's like almost harder for me than when I'm just like in my day-to-day doing stuff, if that
What's
makes sense.
yeah, tell me more about that. What makes it hard or challenging or uncomfortable or whatever it is?
I'm trying to remember to do this exercise, and it's not
Yeah.
the normal when you just kind of let your mind go. Sometimes you get so into a thought, it's like an out of body experience. You're like, and then you come back. And so I think maybe part of it was that I'm trying to do something, and so it's keeping my mind occupied on that, and it's not letting it like wander, because I'm like, nope, I have to do this exercise now. Like I'm trying to do, I got to ask why am I, you know what I mean? And it's almost
Interesting. Okay.
like the typical thing when you meditate is you're trying to focus on like your breath or something.
Right.
And then next thing you
Right.
know, you're like, oh, it's been 5 minutes since I focused on my breath.
Right.
It sounds like
And your mind went somewhere.
yeah. And it sounds like walk the
Yeah.
mind is kind of like, that's what you're supposed to do
Yes.
is,
Literally the opposite.
yeah, I'm going to just keep working at it and see what happens. Like, I think that's what it is just like, since I'm focused on trying to do something, like I'm not letting my mind wander.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I haven't heard someone say that before. Like having that challenge by trying to actively do the thing.
Yeah, and maybe it's because my mind wanders all the freaking time.
Yeah, and you said this on, I think, in one of your texts, right? How you were like thinking about, I think it was the old lady thing or whatever, or in this case, you were thinking about whatever
Oh
was going
yeah.
on with your friend, right? Like
Yeah, that old lady thing was
for
weird.
for walk the mind, the kind of the purpose of it, I'm not telling you what to think about. I'm suggesting how to go about and how to interact with whatever it is you're thinking about. So if you're thinking about being an old lady, or if you're thinking about whatever's going on with your friend, it doesn't matter. That's the thread you go down until you get to some type of conclusion. And it could just be nothing. It could just fizzle away, right?
Mhm.
And then your mind will go blank, probably, like you said, and then something else will come up. And then you go down that thread. So it's not like, oh, I need to think about this or I need to think about that. No, it's think about whatever comes up. You just go down that thread with these questions, if that helps. We're going to go into the next exercise for this week, which is the Ask the Body one, because this is all like driving a car, right? We're learning like how to push the gas, how to push the brake, how to change gears, how to put it in reverse. And at the end, we'll just be like, hey, I'm just driving a car, right? But we're kind of doing things piece by piece. So just all that to say, we'll do Ask the Body for this week. And then the next week, there's, still time to practice the Walk the Mind stuff and the Ask the Body
Okay.
stuff kind of together.
So
If
can
you
I ask
haven't
can
had
I
them.
ask you, so like when you're doing that walk the mind thing,
Mhm.
what are like what are some questions to ask to like go deeper on a thread and not lose the thread, but I don't know. Can you give
Just having,
can you just
yeah,
give me
just,
some examples of questions?
yeah. And it depends on what your answer is, like what your body says, like what comes up, right? So if it's the first one is like, why am I thinking this? Right. So that can be the first one. So why am I thinking this? Where did this thought come from? When was the first time I thought this thought? Depending on how deeply you get into that train of thought or with your body, you can say like, what are you trying to tell me? Or do you have something to tell me? They're kind of similar to the ask the body questions too, which
And who are you talking to?
basically like like your subconscious.
You're just talking to it in like the second person.
Yeah,
It's
as
almost
if
like
it's
you're
another
communicating with,
person.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting when you ask, you have some thought and then you ask, why am I thinking
I
this?
think, okay, yeah, I think that, I
And then
think
you
that,
pause.
I think that's a novel enough idea. I think that'll help me like stay on, like be
Yeah,
able
because
to stay on that thread.
it's a conversation, right? You wait for your body to answer. So you're there thinking about something and then you catch yourself. Oh, I'm thinking about something. And that's when you interject. Why am I thinking this? And then you wait. And then some answer will come up, an answer to your question, right? Like a gut response, an instinctual response. Or like when people say, what's the first thing that comes to your head when I say elephants, right? That kind of thing will happen. And that's comes from your subconscious, right? It's not you having a thought. It's just, oh, it just came up, right? And then that's the next thing. And then that's what you go with. And then you ask the next question, or you let that go, that you let that be, that is the conversation, right? You ask a question, subconscious answers. You ask another question, subconscious answers.
Okay, that'll help.
Yeah, but this is how we start building like the connection with the energy, right? Because that is like it just being presenting itself to you and like answering, right? And so we're starting the interaction on the level of language, right? And what you'll see
Mhm.
as we get into through these slides and for the ask the body stuff for this week, we start to get into working and sensing like the body's energy itself.